Now at 10, President Donald Trump just announced he will no longer support Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was once one of his fiercest allies. In a post,
the first anti-Israel, America only, just got dropped today by Trump. She went loony and wacko. With all the anti-Israel seems to go loony and wacko, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's finished. Look what Trump said.
On Truth Social tonight, the president said,
just keep in mind, Trump is MAGA. For all the ones that think that pro-Israel is not MAGA, Trump is MAGA. Trump is pro-Israel. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has been acting wacko for the last week or so, maybe month. Not sure why. I think she's mad because Trump won't cater to her. But let's look here.
In part, quote, she has told many people that she's upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore. But with 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, and almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day, end quote. Well, the Georgia representative fired back on X tonight, saying the Epstein files are what sent President Trump over the edge. Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote in part, it is astonishingly really hard how he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, that he actually goes to this level.
Now this is what Trump said when he was asked a question about her earlier this week, I think.
Earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that? And also,
just remember, America first is not America only. We're the #1 superpower in the world. We have less than 5% of the world's population, and we use 25% of the world's resources. There's no way you can just exclude yourself from the rest of the world when you use those type of resources. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants us to be never in any war. She was against us bombing Iran. She's against anything to do with Israel. And Trump's cut her loose. I say good riddance.
Not down, as you've said.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But
she went the way of Tucker.
I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of, but I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia, Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion. Yes. We're not spending any money anymore. Now they pay us through NATO. Right. You know, I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. Well, that's very important. When you're president, you really sort of have to watch over the world because you're going to be dragged into it. Otherwise, you're going to be dragged into it.
Look, especially if you're the president of the United States, you can't just sit back and do nothing. You can't sit back and let Iran get a nuclear weapon. You can't do that. Israel's one of our #1 allies. You can't have somebody on Israel's doorstep with a nuclear weapon that would use it. If you're going to be the #1 superpower in the world, you have to have some responsibility for that. You got to. I'm not saying we need to go into every war. We need to go into Iraq. We don't need to do that. But you can't just sit back and do nothing. Now, you can either not be the #1 superpower, sit at home, and never go anywhere, or you can strategically take your B-2 bombers and bomb the crap out of somebody if you need to. Just if you need to. You don't have to put troops in there for 20 years. It took us 36 hours to bomb Iran and get rid of their nuclear facility. 36 hours. And the whole world knew after that, I better not mess with that country.
A world war. I think if I weren't president, first of all, that war would have never happened if I was president. And if I weren't president, that war could have led to World War III. It won't. It's not going to anymore. But when I first got in, I said, wow, this situation could lead to World War III. And I got NATO together. I got everybody together. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but
she went on the
I'm
View.
Surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. I don't devote a lot of my time. Let me give you another example. China. China was going to hit us with rare earth. Now, everybody says, oh, what does that mean? Magnets. If China refused to give magnets, because they have a monopoly on magnets, because they were allowed to happen over a 32-year period, there wouldn't be a car made in the entire world. There wouldn't be a radio. There wouldn't be a television. There wouldn't be internet. There wouldn't be anything, because magnets are such a part. Now,
so you have to deal with these people. He has to make deals with China. We have to have the magnets because we use it for bombs and other things. Like, you can't just seclude yourself from the rest of the world. I understand that we don't want to be in foreign wars. I understand that. But that doesn't mean you seclude yourself from the rest of the world. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think it was, she wanted to be petted by Trump, and Trump was tired of fooling with her. And so she went AWOL and started going on The View and liberal stations, and now Trump's cut her loose.
Nobody knows what magnets are, and not overly sophisticated, but to build a magnet system would take 2 years. So if I weren't able to say to China, look, if you're going to do that to us, we're going to charge you 158% tariff. It was 100% on top of 58%. And China called up immediately and said, we will make peace. And we made peace. We made a great deal. We made an unbelievable deal. China's paying tariffs to the United States, not the United States paying tariffs to China, which has always been the way it was. Nobody can believe these deals. But so when somebody makes a statement about he's devoting time to the world, well, the
Thomas
world
Massey
is the United States, because if
Kentucky,
the world's
you need
in
to
trouble,
get him out.
or if the world is ripping us off. You know, the world was ripping us off before I came here. Europe was getting massive tariffs. They were sending us 9-10 million cars a year. We were sending them none. They were not taking our agriculture. We were taking massive amounts of their. It was so unfair. Now we have a deal where $950 billion is coming into the United States because of me and because of tariffs. So if I don't do all these things, our country is doing very poorly.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's easy to say, oh, don't worry about the world, but the world is turning out to be our biggest customer. The world was on fire.
Republicans need to learn how to win. The problem is these people want attention, and they don't know how to just win.
And we could have been in that fire very easily if you didn't have a president that knew what he was doing.
Here she is when she went on The View. I'm not going to show it, but she was, you know, wanting to be loved by The View. She's an attention seeker. She wants the clicks. She wants the attention. And other people like her are in it for the clicks and the attention. You need to find people that you're going to listen to that stand on principle. Like people like Mark Levin have been the same since the 80s, since they worked for Reagan. It's the same people. It's the same character. A lot of these new people that you see on YouTube, they got there by getting clicks. So they changed their views based on the clicks. If you see somebody that's changing their views based on the clicks, then I wouldn't make that my main source of news. If it's all about the clicks, they're going to change their views when the clicks change.